Welcome back, beautiful people. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now, up in just a few minutes, we have My Digital World with returning contributor Shahal Khan, CEO of Burkhan World and founder of Tempus Network, and his good friend joining him today, Paul Roy, CEO and founder of galaxyracer. Today, we're going to be chatting esports, gaming, and all the good things involving them. Now, let's review. Organized video gaming events or tournaments that culminate in championships at regional and international level, in which professional and amateur players compete against one another, are all the rage. And the rapidly growing phenomenon surrounding esports, otherwise known as electronic sports, continues to gather steam as the intersection of gaming and sports offers an innovative wave of branding opportunities, engaging content, and activations for millions across the world. Now, galaxyracer launched back in 2019 and has become one of the biggest esports gaming and lifestyle organizations globally, with their biggest esports presence in the United Arab Emirates, spread across a diverse international roster of 11 teams, boasting professionals from over 20 plus countries. galaxyracer seems to be the center hub for all gamers. Now, the galaxyracer team has already established top global ranking status in the biggest games, including CSGO, League of Legends, Dota 2, PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile, and Rocket, to name a few. Now, the organization prides itself on having 5 separate business offerings, and this is a little bit different than your regular structure. They have esports teams, content creators, tournament management, merchandising and lifestyle, and GXR Records, a newly established record label. They are clearly on the cusp of something revolutionary. The organization now carries over 100 content creators with a total reach of over 370 million followers across all platforms and more than, are you ready? 2 billion views. Now, for the record, esports have been a big deal for quite a while. It's a giant industry estimated to be worth somewhere in the ballpark of 1.8 billion by 2022. It's attracting the largest audience on the planet, already over 600 million people. Forbes reports that esports pro athletes have been growing more than 40% annually every year since 1998. Then you have the LA Times saying 8 million people log on every day to take part. And yet for some of us, it still feels somewhat foreign, an underground culture, so to speak. But here to break it all down are my experts at hand. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you, Zen.
Thanks, Zen.
Paul,
Thanks for having us.
Paul, thank you for joining us. Now, while many industries suffered greatly under the strain of the global pandemic, esports was one of the few that was able to flourish. And the level of investment and deal activity in esports definitely increased as a result of the health crisis. How are gamers earning money under the new platforms that exist?
So, to an extent, Zen, during the COVID period, obviously the one thing that went down was having live events and having large audiences tune in. But the beauty about the fact that this is electronic and is run on servers remotely means that you can actually run tournaments anywhere in the world. So, a lot of the tournament people had to adapt. They started running regional tournaments as opposed to international tournaments. And when everything else shut down, sports is a form of entertainment, right? Any kind of sports. That's why people watch it. And when regular sports such as soccer and cricket and everything else started shutting down, the regular sports fans had to turn to something else. And the only thing that was running at that point of time was esports because they could still continue to run in certain formats. And there's an entirely new fan base that was just created. So we had different projections over the years in terms of the growth that esports would have, in terms of audience and reach. And I think during the pandemic, it probably blew past all numbers by over 100%.
Yeah. Well, we're at a very special time because we've been doing these segments regularly on My Digital World, and we cover a lot. And Shahal and I are always talking about the intersection of gaming, esports, cryptocurrency. So I'm going to show this back to you, Shahal. Let's chat about the future of esports and fan engagement. As esports grow in popularity, this will attract more clubs, sponsors, and players to basically participate. Games such as Fortnite and League of Legends have already reached the stellar level of this, and other games will follow specifically on this path, creating their own global leagues. And at this point right now, there's prejudices and misunderstandings about gaming and esports. and there's going to be a lot of barriers that we're going to cross. What kind of opportunity, Shahal, do you think that are going to be existing, and what do you think the divisions between sports and esports are going to, what is that division going to entail? Is it going to become more blurred in the future? Is this the wave of the future?
I think based on everything I've seen Paul and Galaxy Racer do, you have to look at media as a whole in engagement with the audience. That means content production, that means new form of games that are being produced around the esports teams, also new platforms that are being produced where people that are actually engaging and participating as an audience now can have direct relationships and participation with the players, but also with the actual content itself. And there's a lot of different digital platforms, including cryptocurrencies, NFTs, that allow people to participate more fully, actually be able to help create new content and have an interactive sense with the actual platform itself. So, in essence, they're just not an audience. They actually are able to participate, and they're also able to possibly even earn through their engagement. And I think that is really going to be a game changer. And I think Paul's creating the perfect platform for that, where you have all of that culminating together.
Agreed, agreed. I mean, Paul, what you're doing is on the cusp of not just revolutionary, but you really are adhering to the digital process in every way. Now, given the immense popularity of gaming and esports across the world, official esports tournaments are able to offer huge jackpots for basically the best of the players in the world. And the cumulative prize pool for global Counter-Strike, global offensive tournaments in the first half of 2021 stood at almost 8 million US dollars, with total esports prize pools projected to grow even further in the coming years. How do you feel that cryptocurrency is going to be leveraged in esports and gaming?
Well, it's pretty simple actually. The biggest prize pool that was held this year was for a game called Dota 2. So there's something called the International. And the Dota 2 prize pool has been growing year on year. And this year, actually, it was the highest one ever paid out, which was $41 million. And the winning team walked away with 18 million.
Wow.
Now, now Shahal mentioned something a few minutes ago about, fan tokens and fan engagement. So how the prize pool works is the publisher of the game only seeds $1 million. The 40 million additional is donated by the fans, right? So you've already got fans contributing. So it's millions and millions and millions of fans around the world contributing everything from 5 to $10 to $20 in microtransactions just to see the spot getting larger and larger, right? So when you have a platform one day that could be used via cryptocurrencies or tokens and all that, it's a natural evolution. It's not something that's alien to the gaming world. Let's put it to you that way.
Clearly not. And I mean, as a result of the increasing money in the market that we're seeing, I mean, the top players in the world are able to now make a living from video games, something which would have been almost unthinkable in past decades. So, yes, I mean, you're headed in the right direction. Shahal, I want to touch on something that you said earlier when we went back to how this is really revolutionizing the way third world countries are now interacting with games and gamers and esports. Now, the global crypto adoption has taken off in the last year. We're up 881% with Vietnam, India, and Pakistan firmly in the lead. And this is data directly off of chain analysis. Now, Burkhan's crypto arm is Tempus. And knowing that there are about 1.7 billion people that are considered unbanked, however, we have 48% of the global population having a smartphone, and that percentage, in theory, have access to the internet and therefore cryptocurrencies. What is the bigger vision, for instance, Tempest and even Galaxy Racer have, given this very fact?
Yeah. So, I mean, as Paul said before, the actual population of people, or I think Zen, you had mentioned it, the 2 billion views of Galaxy Racer. If you look at just the people watching these games, and if they could actually be compensated for their engagement, which means if they can tweet about, for example, a player or a brand, which they usually do anyway, And if that could be followed on their smartphone and they could be compensated directly for that participation, for their data that they're creating, rather than that going onto a social media platform, that now releases income to people that really don't have a source of income that could be augmented in enough sort of capacity that they could actually go and start becoming bankable. So for me as an economist, I was looking at the combination of this amazing platform that Paul has built and the possibility in the future where the people that are actually watching these games and participating in these games that want to participate but don't have the capital to do so, but actually earn some capital by participation, and then utilize that to create savings accounts on a decentralized platform, and then start to become a part of the economy as well. And I think that'll be revolutionary in terms of a possible new income creation mechanism.
Without a doubt, you're giving power to the people in the most natural and organic way possible. People now being compensated to do what they love, having a means in the digital process. And like you said, you're taking the thought process of here you go. Now you're in control, and everybody loves that. I'm going to go back to Paul. Paul, Galaxy Racer prides itself on having these 5 separate business offerings. We talked about esports. You have content creators, tournament management, the merchandising and lifestyle, and now you have the GXR records. Where, out of all of these different areas, which area is really key to igniting the rest of them, so to speak? Is it the gaming or is it the tournament management?
Nita, I think it's our content creation. So our content creators, actually, it's a lot more than 370 million. Just about a week ago, we've crossed the 500 million mark. So we've got about 500 million people following us across all social platforms and engaging with us on a monthly basis, right? And when we got into this business, we were very clear we didn't want to be in teams or tournaments or just owning a single platform, which the majority of everybody else does. We go into businesses looking to own ecosystems. So there's an esports ecosystem which goes everywhere from sports to engaging content to products that you build with the brands that you create to engaging with your fans, and we wanted to own the entire ecosystem. And then through that ecosystem, we're like, okay, we have the audience, we've got the viewership. Can we look at launching new things? So the record label was one of our first experiments. We're like, look, here's an example. I have a 22-year-old kid who plays Counter Strike, right? And and the same 22-year-old kid also listens to hip hop. But if you go into YouTube, you don't find any content where the hip hop artist is engaging with Counter Strike, but the audience is exactly the same. So we said, okay, we've got these huge creators out there. We've got this audience. Can we go and find artists that are in that genre, and can we blow them up? And the answer is yes, we could. So we took upcoming artists who are super talented and hit all the right ticks and pretty much drove their social from 50,000 to over 1.5 million followers, drove their viewership up, drove the music video views from under, I think so one of them was less than 100K, and then drove to over 75 million. So when you've got that audience firepower like we have, you can pretty much do anything and push anything towards them.
It's beautiful. It's basically, the equivalent of having influencers on social media really hype something up and for it to go viral. And then, of course, as we know, with over 1 billion active social media users that are engaging a day, everything kind of, it spreads like wildfire, so to speak. But guys, we've run out of time. I want to say thank you for coming on, because you guys always give me the most interesting, valuable content when it comes to anything digital. So thank you, Paul. Guys, you have to check out galaxyracer.gg, and on the gram, they're at galaxyracer.dxb. Paul, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Shahal, of course, it's always a pleasure. I'm going to probably be seeing you in just a few weeks again. Definitely check out a Burkhan World Project and Tempus Network all over the internet, all over social media. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this. That was My Digital World, sponsored by Tempus Network.